So being that you're just coming from the combine, from a scouting perspective, what are some of the things that you're looking for at the combine that are going to make a receiver stand out as a draft prospect? And do you put more stock in game film or the measurables and the testings at the combine?
Well, as the saying goes, the big eye in the sky don't lie. I'm still a big believer in, the production on tape is huge. It's like a beauty contest at the combine these days, as far as who jumps, who runs fast, things of that nature, measurables. But you don't win in underwear. You got to put
Yeah.
pads on and you got to go out there and get it done. So obviously the measurables are part of the game. I think it's a crucial part of the game. The thing I think that gets it overlooked, that one of the things that I'm hearing from the combine this year and other years, is a lot of guys are training so well. They're killing the jumps and the broad jumps and the verticals and the 40. But where we're lacking is in the football knowledge and the interviews. And, you know this, I'm a different generation, but you have to change with the times, but you also have to still be able to communicate verbally and, get on the board and understand a play and diagram a play. So the point of understanding coverages and the interviews, just hearing whether it's because of the systems or it's because of the kids work their thumbs more than they do, people skills. That seems to be a resounding issue that doesn't meet the standard, that the Shield slash NFL, holds. You have to be that the NFL game is so different than a collegiate game, although there is crossover in plays or things of that nature, but it's a situational game. And, you see young quarterbacks struggle to take a snap under center because they don't do it in the college game much and or high school. Also, the calling of plays. There may be 16, 17 words in one play with a kill or alert or a can or a trash, whatever word you want to use. So these guys, the clock's running and they're just struggling. And look at the quarterbacks that have been behind people that had a chance to develop, whether it's, Favre when he was playing and then who was behind him. Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers, Jordan Love, Tom Brady. You just take a look at, there's more than that, of guys who sat behind someone and had a chance to learn the system, learn how to call plays in an NFL situation. Just all the game's just different. So receiver wise,
Mm.
also, uh, there's a spread offense, but there's also these wide splits that are very advantageous in certain situations. That because of the splits in the field in the NFL game, it's played in the middle of the field. You don't
Hmm.
you don't see those. You just, the rules are different, so these guys are having to adapt and learn coverages, all those things. Different programs, obviously, for different places are better, but the interviews are key to find out if these guys, what their FBI is, what's their football information, what's their knowledge of the game, and the transition of that to the field. I think it's the same way for a receiver as it is a quarterback. That that's part of it, and it's someone who understands it, whether it been taught or they learned it on their own. That's a translation that gets lost a little bit. You don't see that at the combine, although there's hours and hours of interviews and information being passed on that way. That I think we can do a better job as receiver coaches, and even though we can teach someone else's, I won't say offense, but just about ball, I guess, football 1-on-1.
FBI, that's the term that you use. Football information.
Yep, that's the way I use it. Gathering intel on whether it be your enemy as you line up, what's your pre-snap routine, to, what is it that you've gotten from tape, having a film study. And we do a packet that you have to go through and check the boxes or draw things, or I give them things to circle, or, questions just to answer, yes, no, or look up, you know, percentages. There's a lot of ways to do film study, but the more you can do for a player and give him the tools to be successful, and, dumb it down to a level that a freshman can understand, and then you can have higher level questions for, the seniors or upperclassmen. And when you get in the league, that would be rookies to first year to, tenure guys. So, uh, when it's your job, stuff's a lot more important at that point.
Who was the best route runner you've ever coached, and what do you believe makes a great route runner?
Whew. I think about that one a little bit as far as who was the best route runner. Switzer became a really good route runner. He's a slot that was a running back in high school, in a little school in West Virginia, and got out of the state, went to us in North Carolina, and he really studied quite a bit and was really good at routes. He had really good top of the break stuff, could get in and out of cuts, which made him that way, but had the quickness to dive down, redirect, and those things. Um, Austin Prohl was another one I had who was a inside-outside guy. His dad, Ricky Prohl, was playing in the league for 17 years or I don't know how long, but, was a phenomenal route runner. Uh, Blackman had good routes. We kind of changed the offense a little bit where didn't quite require that, but I don't know. I had to go back through. I've had so many over 40 years. It's hard to tell, but patience is one thing that I think is key in route running. Understanding leverage would be another key on what you're trying to accomplish in the route. And, the top of the break, I think, is so key in creating separation that finishes the route. So many people are good at the initial start, their stance to start, and then the rage phase. That phase is great, and then they get to the end and can't finish it, whether it be
Yeah.
a curl, a post, a dig. Just get there and just can't finish it. So it all goes to waste at that point.
I like to say, out of the break is where the separation comes. So everything leading up to that,
Yep,
if you can't get separation out the break, it's all for nothing.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And
Yeah.
I think people are more understanding stems now. More players. You're seeing more squeeze sets or bunch sets. Where people are using stems, whether it be diving down inside or spraying outside and reset and attack and leverage. I think guys are understanding that part of the game a little bit better than it used to be because you just lined up in normal splits and ran your route. Now it's how many ways can I dress up the same route from
Hmm.
different splits and alignments and motions.
Exactly. So I guess that parlays me into my next question. What has changed over the years about playing the receiver position? And then what's some of the constants that have stayed the same?
Well, how about back in the day? Your hand was down and you were in a 3-point stance. Let's start there.
As a
Uh,
receiver?
yeah, absolutely. So that throws it back to how old I am now. I was in a 2-point stance, but I would remember watching TV and seeing professional football guys in a 3-point stance, guys like Bolitnikoff and just famous players that way. Of course, I always wondered how you press a guy in a 3-point stance, but I didn't see quite as much as that, I guess. So the game has changed with alignments and the flexibility to go from a normal split or the only way that they did split to moving splits around to the variations of motions. With you see Miami being very diverse, you see Kansas City. It becomes a fad, and everybody else is a copycat league. But people using motions, fast motion out, hitting it on the run. You know, stacks, bunches again, just variations of empties. The game's changed quite a bit because the rules have changed, where it was advantageous to run the ball, not throw the ball, and now it's advantageous to do both. But especially in a pass game, they allow you to, pass block completely different, protect the passer. So you can get downfield, and RPOs have changed the game probably the most in the last probably 3 to 5 years. I think that skill set, I think human beings in general, because of nutrition, training tools, just like yourself, for example, the ability to get online and listen to people who have knowledge of the game or a specific way to do things that wasn't around. You just didn't have the availability to jump online or follow a person and, get certain tools that may work for them in certain situations. So I think it's a unique skill set to develop as a receiver these days, whether you're a big, tall guy that can catch 50-50 balls or you're a slot guy that is a great route runner and shifty and running option routes and things of that nature, or you're a speed guy that motions, lifts the lid, So everybody brings something different. I kind of compare it to building a basketball team. You want a point guard, you want a two that can shoot and dribble, and then you need a power forward. If you're playing small, need the small center or the other type guy, and you just build your team based on what your offense requires, and everyone needs to have a different little skill set. It'd be
Hmm.
great to have one that has them all, but that's hard to find. So, I think it's important that as you build skill sets and develop those, you don't have deficiencies. You may be better at dribbling with your right, but you got to be able to dribble with your left and people not notice it. Whereas the deficiency, so getting in and out of cuts, those things, I think that definitely can be developed. I think the tools that have done it and the knowledge of how your body works, receiver coaches have gotten better about how to teach it.
How to get open in different situations. That's what really is going to separate you as a receiver.
Absolutely. And, knowledge is powerful no matter what business you're in. It doesn't matter. As a student, as a banker, as a lawyer, as a, football player, anything, knowledge is power. So with that and the ability then to process that into your ability to get it done, meaning your athletic ability when it comes to football, put the knowledge with the ability, and you got a dangerous, very dangerous player.
Exactly.
And Jerry Rice, he was like 4.65 or 4.62. I can't remember what it was at the combine. Now you got
Yeah.
guys running, 4.28s and stuff, but yet this guy can understand how to accelerate, decel, and get out of a cut faster than the guy that's running 4.28. He'd be great on lifting the lid, but the guy can't run a comeback or a option route or stuff like that because he can't control his own body. That's a unique skill set that he took knowledge with technique and then refined it into a Hall of Fame career, one of the best that's ever played, if not the best.
And so now going into like the NIL landscape now, do you find it hard to adjust or embrace it, being that you've coached at a high level all these years, or do you enjoy embracing it, if that makes sense?
No, I actually enjoy it for the fact that being spending time in NFL, that is the free agency is really what this is. The frustrating part, I think, for kids and coaches is there's no ramifications right now. There's no really rules or guidelines like in NFL. There's dead periods where you can't tamper with other people. You can't you lose draft picks and there's huge fines. Whereas in collegiate level right now, there's so much tampering. There's so much. Uh, it's just crazy. It's a wild, wild west. So that's the frustrating thing. I think kids absolutely need to be compensated, for their time and effort and their skill sets. It's just you're creating an unfair advantage in certain places, just based on sheer ability to create, a money set where it still should be people should be able to outwork another guy and be a better recruiter and things of that nature. It shouldn't just be about money. It should be a decision based on, hey, I want to go let's say the Patriots because they're winning and I want to play for a ring and I'll take less money. Those decisions could still be made instead of, let's say, go to a team that's not very successful and yeah, they're going to pay me more money, but that and that kid can make that decision now in college. But the movement of the person should be based on them, not other entities kind of moving them. I guess if that makes sense, that there's just way too much behind the scenes movement, tampering that affects everybody's
Hmm.
lives. The lack of literacy and finances is a big problem for kids and for families not understanding that at that point. That's why there is a pro league. You're more mature, you're older, you've been through, you should be able to handle it. You get you an agent that's legit. It's not going to charge you 15 to 20%. You're smart enough to figure out I'm not paying that. I can negotiate it. Norm is 3, 2, 3, 4, 5% maybe.
There's agents that are taking 15% of NIL kids'
Yeah,
money.
you
Yeah,
take
it's
it. Don't figure it out. I mean, that's your fault. But these kids don't
yeah.
understand what. Oh, I'm being your marketing guy. Oh, I'm being this. I'm doing all this for you. And those are more probably not the norm, but yes, we have seen cases, different places that, wow, you're like, do you know that that's not, you can negotiate that or what, so bad business.
I think with like nowadays, a lot of the kids just jump at the number figure that they see that's biggest rather than take into
Right.
account the development or all the other factors. Because at the end of the day, the real goal is to get to the NFL because that's what's going to pay off the longest. Just a temporary bag for in college, if that sacrifices your long term development, it's not worth it.
Not at all. Not at all. I agree. And that's the maturity factor and the mentorship that needs to come from somewhere. But, the coach tells them, or certain people, a high school coach, someone close to them, and then they figure out, well, you're just trying to keep me at this school, or you're just trying to, do this, one or the other. It's a paranoia thing at times. Like, my family needs to be taken care of, but by taking less money, I'm not being taken care of. They don't see the long term value of, hey, you're better off here at school A, taking a little less money,
Yeah.
and being either, i.e., let's say, closer to home, or being developed better, or being in a better situation where they've got better players around
Hmm.
you. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that go into play, but they just only see one thing now, and that's a dollar
Yeah.
figure, or
Yeah.
whoever's representing them
Yeah.
is pushing them to places based on that.
Of course, you got to take into account the dollar signs always, but like I think the development goes hand in hand with that, and it's really if anything's more important, it's probably the long term development. But I think at least they should coincide. You know what I mean?
It should be a mutual balance between the two, and something that just doesn't outweigh the other. Because you look at it, there's going to be kids that go to 4 and 5 schools. Who's going to be in their wedding? Who's going to be their lifelong friends, business partners? I mean, what
Hmm.
what reunion are they going to go to, and what, if any, degree are they going to get? So we've
Yeah.
disintegrated. We've disintegrated a part of being a mentor, having a life skill after football, because, less than 2% are actually going to make it. So that means 98% aren't. So what are they going to do?
Right.
So they got 100 grand. How long is 100 grand going to last? Not
Right.
very long. Yeah.
That's what like a lot of people don't realize. It's skewed where like the top guys are going to be making the most of the money. Other than other than
Absolutely.
other than that, everyone's making a fair sum. It's something. It's better than nothing, but it's not going to be enough to set you up for life. You know what I mean?
And that's the shame of it. They won't figure it out until it's too late, and they know that 50 grand or whatever that is just not going to get me. After shoot, you may not even be able to afford a car with that, depending on what kind you get, or a vehicle, much less a home or anything else that you say, oh, this is life changing money. That's not life changing money. So this is basically, you're just getting a stipend to make it through college, as you would as having a job. So, I don't think anybody's going to sign up and say,
Essentially, yeah.
yeah, I don't want the rest of my life make, say, 40,000 a year or whatever, you're getting paid. Now, you say if a guy's making, 1.2 a year, well, that's different. You can take 5 years, but most of them aren't that guy. There's not that many of them, and it's usually for 1 year, not a length of something. So they're not making life changing money.
It's a lot of instant gratification. What can I get now? What can I post now for validation? What can I? It's pretty much like a show for clout, which is a lot of things. You know what I mean? So, what's something that stood out to you about Randy Moss when you coached him, other than physical talent or ability?
I think probably the biggest thing that stuck out with Randy was competitive skills. His competitiveness, no matter what sport it was. He ran track. Obviously he was a great basketball player in high school, and it didn't matter what sport. If you talk to anybody that knows Randy, he's competitive fisher. He competes in any sport with his kids or whatever he's playing, and my just being blessed to be able to be around him and coach him every day. He got bored when it wasn't competitive. That was when it was really challenging to coach, him and others at that same level, because they did have such a high ceiling as far as their skill set. It was hard to find people to match them. So you had to be very creative in challenging those people, physically, and mentally at times for that part. But I think that skill set of him being so competitive, he hated to lose at anything, and it was so good at everything too. But you had to find people to challenge him.
Just a competitive dog. Yeah, that's something like a lot of people now lack. People don't like to. People shy away from competition. What I tell like my guys is, you want to be like the always the first one up. You know what I mean? You want to be the first one in line, every one on one, always. You're going with the mindset, I'm winning every single rep right now, and you're just gonna dominate.
Yep, absolutely. That's the best advice you could give. And then, when scouts come to practice, I tell the guys, not only just coaches, but you're going to fall down. They want to know how you get up, and do you get up, and how many times are you willing to get up. And I think Ali had, Muhammad Ali, the greatest, in my opinion, boxer, that he feared the guy that just kept getting up, not the guy that he could knock down, is the one that just kept getting up. So that's what scouts and coaches want to see. You had that one-on-one rep, and it brings him back to Des Bryant and Cox, one of our Parish Cox, who was drafted high too. They would go against each other all the time, and if one would win a rep, the other one would call the other one out. Hey, bounce right back up, run it back. And
Mm.
most of the time we would allow it. Time depending on what it is or was. That's what you wanted. You wanted guys that weren't afraid to say,
Hmm.
"Hey, I'm gonna get beat. Maybe I try something new and it doesn't work, and I'm jump right back and try it again, or try something different, or go to his go-to or whatever." Just competitive skills, saying, "Hey, it's okay. I want to play against the best, to be the best. Iron sharpens iron."
Iron
And
sharpens iron. Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
exactly. Yeah, as a receiver, that's what you got to embrace, that because that's what's going to bring the best out of you, is going against the best DBs. And then also being able to win against man and zone.
Well, there's your FBI again, and I relate it to a toolbox. So, if your toolbox only has one tool in it, they know which way you're dribbling. I mean, you're a one-trick pony. It's easy to defend that guy once they get the book on you. The
Yeah.
book on someone that has multiple ways of beating you. And, yeah, they have their way that's the best, but they have other shots. They have other pitches. They have other whatever, your sport you want to equate it to, that they have tools in their toolbox of how to win at the top of the break. Fix its.
Hmm.
When you get at the top, right, what are your fix-its? How do you fix it? Do you wrap around? Do you give them a nod, a stick? Look the other way? What is it? Do you throw them by?
Hmm.
There's so many ways at the top of the break to win when it's
Yeah.
not advantageous to you. Do you get a half a man? Do you get a whole man stack? It's just, we could go on
Yeah.
and on, but that's where a player and a coach can say, "Hey, this is your fix-its. You're
Hmm.
not good
Fix
at
it.
this, so work on that." Yeah, I mean, there's a tool. What tool are you pulling out, to work the throw by, or however you want to call it, punching the hip, or, you know, pushing the top, or whatever you got. So Top Gun, everybody calls it something different, but you can't do that all the time. Sometimes they're playing two man and he's low hipping you, and he's not going to get close enough for you to grab. So then you give him the 1-2, a counter move, look one way, go the other, whatever you want to call it, rocker step at the
Rocker.
top.
Yeah.
It's 1,000 different ones. Use your eyes and shoulders to steer him, make him go one way, then go the other. He's inside leverage and you want to go inside. So how do you win? What's your fix it? And there's
Hmm.
there's there's more than one way to do that. And there's more than one technique, but you got to make it your own too. You're going to run around different than I am, and that's okay. But
Hmm.
you just got to get better at it than the guy covering you.
That's something that's huge for receivers, being able to win when it's maybe not so advantageous for you. It's a matter of just knowing how to win in different ways. So if you were to
Yep.
stack on top of them, like you said, maybe give them a rocker and stay over the top. You know what I mean? Because I always tell my guys, if you have someone stacked, you don't want to stop and run back
No,
into them. Yeah, yeah,
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And then goes the release. You also don't want to beat him so bad at the line of scrimmage, to say on a press, that you get to the top and he's on the low hip. He's two
right,
steps behind you and you're running a curl. You're like, "Hey, that's
yeah,
great for a vertical ball, but that's
hmm,
terrible. That's terrible for a ball that's coming back at you."
yeah,
So you got to either, don't beat him so bad. I know that's a
yeah,
unique. You say,
deception.
"Well, yeah, exactly." Well,
Yeah,
how do you
yeah,
do that? Well, maybe you work a pop your feet to let him catch up. Maybe you work a tempo. Maybe you don't win at the release so bad that you beat him so bad.
Hmm.
You got to understand who you're playing against and how to win on a route. That's why I said, initially we talked someone who has patience and
Hmm.
understanding of what the route requires is sometimes a lot better than a guy that's so gifted, but yet, he's got a Ferrari, but he doesn't know how to drive it. So what good does a Ferrari do?
Maybe we'll be crossing paths one day.
Absolutely. I hope so. And love to, get on some type of forum, with different guys. Maybe we could set something up for a certain night once a month or,
Definitely.
periodically in a deal and have different people share and get some topics and just say, hey, we're just going to concentrate on blocking this topic or, we're just going to concentrate on top of the route on this one or just release his first press on this one or, because it's so easy to get off topic, but
Yeah.
the fixits and the fine details of it, for you to learn one or two things that you could put in your toolbox would be, those are life changing if you find stuff that, hey, I've got an answer. And once you have an answer, you're dangerous. If you don't have an answer, especially in the NFL room, that's a tough place to be because those dudes are high level and they want to partner with you to make sure you can get them to that next contract and get them the information they got to have to, beat the DB's ass that they're playing against that week. Look forward to, digging in a little bit more and
Definitely.
stealing some knowledge from you and other people we come across.